This is Andy here with WealthyFantasyFootball.com. Want to make sure you get a good idea of how to set some starting lineups here for the NHL. It's March 12th. Not doing NBA today. It's too small of a slate for that. There's 8 games on the slate today for NHL, so let's take a look. Diving right into it, I have already watched some of the players for right here on the right side. Watched players already. But I want to confirm that these guys are, as far as goalies, are actually starting so far. We can get an idea of that by going perhaps over here to the daily face-off starting goalies and the matchups it shows. We have some confirmed already. That's good. Let's see who we're if it's who we're looking for here so far. Just scrolling through. Bobrovsky not confirmed yet, and the other guy, but Luongo, the veteran athletic goalie, is doing well, allowing 3 goals on 37 shots, and the Panthers win. And that's all the Panthers have been doing lately is winning. So with that kind of save percentage as well, you're pretty well advised to, being at home especially, to put them in your starting lineup. So there you go. If you wanted to go with a different option, maybe in a tournament, you can go with Bobrovsky as a third option, maybe Martin Jones here. Let's see. The Sharks. Not confirmed yet. So that's the only guy we can confirm so far here at noonish on the same day, the 12th of March. And also looking down here, though, you want to get some, what I'm doing here on the draft dashboard, by the way, is all you need to do is drop right down below this video into the description, click on the link, and be able to pick up a copy of this particular format of a spreadsheet. But also, more importantly, you maybe want to understand the realistic methods behind gaining a definite edge in daily fantasy sports, and read on through the initial free report that you receive through clicking on that link in the website. And so, looking here at what I'm doing, though, is I'm looking at low-risk, proven players. And so let's take a specific look and dive into a particular player that is being, or that I'm watching here, such as Artemi Panarin for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I noticed already that the Columbus Blue Jackets were favored and have a high implied point total for the day versus Montreal. So the team is favorable. They're at home here. His last 5 games scoring, showing as showed here, 17, 12, 36, 30, and 6 points. And we can even confirm going back farther if we just click on the guy's name, bring up more scoring stats here, click on scoring, and you can even pick up, I'm going to go back further another 5 games to see how consistent he is. He scored almost 13, 8, 13, 11, and 21 prior to that. So he's very consistently performing based on logical looking at the numbers. If you want to get more specific as far as an actual definite number of how consistent he is, you can just look at my free report as well on that, explaining how that is done by finding some from stats that will specifically get you his numbers in comparison to other guys. But that's the reason why I basically watched him, as well as other guys such as Trocheck right now for Florida, whom we talked about. I'm looking at possibly getting a guy like Justin Williams in there in my lineup. Yandel, I'm pretty well definite on. Anyone else right now? These guys, Herberdro and Bujestad, they're not really as consistent as the guys above. But Lane is here, as well as another guy for Columbus. So that's why I'm watching them here, to put them in my cash game or 50% winnings lineups. But you can, of course, insert these guys as you'll need to anyways, and to save some money here, like, for example, with Bujestad, to get a balanced lineup with a lower price guy, especially in the tournament play. But what you could do for a cash game play, you don't have to make any risks. David Savard is a good play today for Columbus because he's only 3,500, and he's consistently performing at around 7 points or even more recently, 13 perhaps, 16 points, and so on. That this is a determined value that he, as a value play and sort of a pump play, he may get you. So Seth Jones, I'm not really going to watch as a consistent player today. Just tournament, we'll keep it to that. But let's look in more specifically at Justin Williams, away from home, but they're favored. I noticed in today's matchup versus the Rangers. Also keep in mind there, this is not going to be showing in this particular spreadsheet, but tired players. NBA shows well as far as whether a player may be close to exhaustion or something like that in their in another particular part of the spreadsheet, but it does not for NHL. I would just go in terms of whether they played last night or something, which I don't believe any of the players has. If you want to just confirm there, look for the NHL schedule, but I don't believe that scenario. Actually, it's come up with one team. I'm trying to remember who it was. Let's see, so that we can be clear on that for a moment. Sorry, that one takes too long to load up. NHL.com. Just want to look at the regular Google one. So who was playing last night here? If I could remember off memory, it was the Canucks. So the Canucks playing on the road to the Kings. Try to get some Kings players into your lineup, even though they play late. You'll come off ahead there in those games, trying to find some Kings players, which I have not found yet. But however, we're going to look at some scoring here for Justin Williams. We're just going to look at his last 10 games and finish up this portion in the video probably for today after this. Just bring up our standard calculation calendar. Go ahead and showing you how I actually come up with whether to watch him or not for the cash game. And just got to make this bigger. You go inside to the standard deviation calculator box, and keep in mind while I'm doing this that this doesn't take into account let's say a guy scores very high in a particular game, has a superstar type of game. It won't really take so much into account to allow, even though the player has massive perhaps upside, as I know this player has been pretty consistent throughout the year. But if he happened to have, for some reason, which he doesn't, but it'll work well in this case, if he happened to have a 40-point game, it wouldn't work so well because he would deviate far away from his average, even though we like that, that upside. Here's a 35.2 game, though, in fact, which will mess up his coefficient variable for the day. So this is a very stat calculated here, but I'm just taking the points that he's had in the past 10 games. That's why I'm adjusting it as such. I don't need all those other numbers, such as his minutes per game and things like that. I don't really honestly care about, even though I look at them upon my final determination as far as playing these cash value plays. But I'm just taking, for this purpose here, the actual points scored on Fanduel and coming up with a number here. Let's see what it comes up with. Now, this is not an average or a mean. This is just your sample standard deviation, which is 11.55. So what you do is you take your calculator, bring it up, and you divide the 11.55 if you want to be exact, divided by his average points per game, which is right here. You can take from the spreadsheet if you like, under his profile showing on FanDuel. You just got to pick the right one, not the orange but the blue. 10.8 fantasy points per game. So what happened here is, we'll just go ahead and finish dividing that. Divided by 10.8, right? What happened here is he, I would say because of the high scoring game he had, which was, I believe, 32 points, his standard deviation went up to where he's averaging about, those two numbers obviously divided into each other give you about 1. So if the number had been standard deviate, if he had not so much deviated away from the number, obviously at maybe a 15-point game, his this number would be much lower. It would be like 0.5 or something like that, like a half coefficient variation. So that just means that you can still play this, as I kind of realized recently, still play this player because, only in that one game he had deviated away from his average. So actually this is a good example of that, and he's recommended to play even though that number deviates away. You can play him in a cash game average. So it's just a matter of how you get into the numbers and how you read the numbers. Not all the numbers are the same in every scenario or instance. I just want to add to this, but if you want a full understanding of that, grab again the information in the bottom of the description, the free report, and the draft dashboard optimizer so you can get the best matchups for any given day in the NHL. So I want to leave you with that information and have yourself a fantastic night in DFS fantasy.